ready?
Yeah.
You look ready.
And I'm ready. It's Sunday. That means this is At Week's End, the spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics, pop culture, movies, TV shows, all that, all right here. There's a ton to talk about. I'm back from vacation. We're diving right into it. So let's go. Joined as always by the co-host with the most, Sector 2815, my main man with pots and pans. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm making it.
Actually, I'm a little bit concerned.
Concerned.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should send a wellness check out on Las Cruces.
Uh-oh. I'm assuming he wasn't first in the chat. Let's see what's going on. Oh, snap. He's not even in the chat yet.
Exactly.
Oh, that's scary. I hope he is okay. Entropy and Comics is in there, though. What's going on, Kev? Dan, hello. John Stout, good to see you. Well, Boar. Pops, what's happening? Steven with the C, what's up? Glad y'all are all in here, getting in here early. As always, huge shout out and thank you to Big Time Collectibles. Be sure to check them out at their website. Follow them on the social medias. Keep up with what they got going on. They sponsored the channel and the Legion Loot giveaway, all that good stuff. And is it still con season?
San Diego Comic-Con comes out in next weekend.
Then I guess that's a hard yes. It's most definitely still, it's the conest of seasons, if that's the case. Yeah, well, during this con season, if you feel you would like to get anything cleaned or pressed, check out Justin's Comics. He's linked down below in the description. Let him know you found it via the channel. And as always, a huge shout out to the Communities Comic Shop, my LCS, ABX Comics and Games. If you're looking to get your comic pool list started or you need a new place to start a pool list, not happy with where you're at, hit up ABX Comics and Games. They got you covered. The Communities Comic Shop. Truly are. Hey, speaking of, there they are. That was one of the first things I did once I got back home today is went by the comic shop, picked up my books from the past week. Good to have you back in the homeland of the Legion. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. I miss the dog. Yeah. So while I was gone, I just got back in town today from my annual vacation trip. I take 10 days and head to the Georgia coast because y'all know me. I don't like leaving my state. It's not safe out there. But I go and visit Paul because he's in Florida. It's safe in Florida, or as some people call it, the America of America down in Florida. But it was a fantastic trip while I was there. One of the dogs stays with my dad. The other one stays at my job. And he had a good time with the dog. And Paul and I had a good time hanging out. So I'm going for 10 days. But every year, me and the family drive down to Jacksonville and go hit some stores and some comic shops. And a few years ago, me and Paul met up, and now we do it every year. Like when he found out, it's like, oh, you go to Jacksonville? You know, I'm just a little bit south of there myself. So we meet from where I'm at on vacation and where he's at, and we do a comic crawl basically. The first year we just hit one store pretty much, but after that we go and we just hit like the numerous comic shops in the greater Jacksonville location area kind of place. Correct. What are the locations?
There is one. It's Oakleaf Town Center. There is one in Arlington. It is just off, and then there's one in Roosevelt. Those are the three locations. So,
yeah, we have a blast. So me, Paul, and Finn peel out do that, and Kyle, Monkey, my oldest Emma, and my mom. We pretty much split it. We're like dudes this way, girls that way. Go. So everyone can enjoy their time at the stores.
That's right. We wore Finn out. He was sleeping by the last one.
Yeah, he was tuckered, all that riding, but he was happy. He got him some toys, some stuff.
I say he was tuckered until you gave him a Nerf gun, and then he was fine.
Yeah, then he was perfectly fine. Yeah, we got a lot of Nerf guns on that last stop. The entire family was arsenaled out. I had a Anaconda Viper sniper looking thing, and my wife had like a Triceratops triple shooter, and just. It was crazy. And we ended up having a lot of Nerf wars. We definitely had a lot of Nerf wars. But it was cool because Paul and myself were able to hit some shops, look around, look for some books to use the very next day on Guess That Key, which is a fantastic game show that Paul hosts right here on the YouTubes. It's every other week, live stream, where it's literally a game of 20 questions. If you haven't seen it, check out that show. Paul is also always linked in the description as well. You can just one click, go to his channel, make sure you hit that subscribe, because not only does he do Guess That Key every other week, Him and I have a weekly show we do over there as well that comes out every Monday morning. It's the DC Comics Deep Dive, where we focus on, highlight, and break down whatever's happening at DC Comics. And when I say whatever's happening, just the big event going on. It started with Dark Crisis and went to Night Terrors, Beast World, the Gotham War, House of Brainiac. Now we're covering the Absolute Power event, the biggest mega event from the Big Two in years. Like it's a really fantastic event. And him and I actually recorded the new episode earlier today. I'm excited for people to dive into all that stuff, but it's been really cool. It's been really, really cool.
Yes.
Let's see who else has popped in here. Blah, blah, blah. What is going on? I have comic issues. What's up, homie? How are you today? Cliff, what's up? What's up? White Tiger Triple C is in the building. Ruby's art right there. Boom. Right there on the big stage. Scotty, what's happening, homie? Hear that Paul is such a good guy that he scares the Pope.
Whoa, that's disturbing.
Pretty low bar though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe the anti-Paul would scare the Pope.
Yeah, there you go, anti-Paul. But yeah, it was a fantastic stuff happening in DC Comics right now. And that kind of segues into what made the thumbnail tonight. The biggest thing that I want to talk about, there's a lot to talk about. We had the Acolyte finale, new episode of House of the Dragons. We have a massive release week that happened this week, which I pretty much caught up on about 95% of all my reads. But the big news is what we knew was coming, but we got our first official announcement from Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder themselves. Posted a video onto DC Comics social media stuff talking about the new DC initiative called All In. You want to take it away?
Sure. So All In is basically it is not a retcon. It is not a reboot. Many of the issues, the series that you have, will continue on with their numbering like the way they are now. But it is going to actually result in the birth of a new part of the multiverse, for lack of a better term, and that is the Absolute verse. So we've already had announced the solicitations came out for October. So we have the last issue of Absolute Power, and within the little like 20-minute or so video that Scott Snyder and Josh Williamson did, they talk about Darkseid will get involved, and something that Darkseid will do actually results in the creation of this Absolute universe. And so we've been shown Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Superman, and Absolute Batman will be Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta. Absolute Superman will be Jason Aaron and Rafa Sandoval, I believe, and Absolute Wonder Woman will be Kelly Thompson, and I'm blanking on the artist. I don't recall who the artist was for Absolute Wonder Woman. But they will be separate from the main universe. However, they may interact with them. The two will be aware of each other's existence. And so the all-in part of it also is that as part of this, we are getting a lot of creative changes on a lot of the books. So they're starting with an all-in special, which is going to be a flip book. One side of the book will be the current universe, and then the flip side will be the Absolute universe. And so Scott Snyder kind of said, if Superman is kind of like the moral center of the current universe, think of Darkseid as the moral or immoral center of the Absolute universe. And so we're getting a lot of creative changes that we can talk about as well. Some of them I think are going to be wonderful. Some of them that I wish they had changed, they're not.
Well, so let's talk about the Trinity first, because that's the ones that were really highlighted with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. We got the art for them as well. Some of the character designs. I think Batman was the first one that we got. I don't want to say it was a leaked image. We got the first image of like the ash can that would be appearing at San Diego Comic-Con, which really showed us a different style dynamic to the Dark Knight himself. He looked like it was Jack Reacher put into a suit. Like, he's massive. He looks like Jack Reacher if you juiced him with some venom. Like, he was huge. But the bat symbol, of course, looked very simplistic, almost like a rectangle. And we were informed by the creatives behind it that this is going to be a different take on Batman altogether, where he's not a millionaire, where he doesn't have the resources, he doesn't have an Alfred. It's going to be no money, no mansion, no butler. This is Scott Snyder's Batman, which I think that's super interesting. The design for him even looks like he almost has like padded shoulders with little spikes on it and stuff. So the cool thing about the Absolute universe that's speaking to me is how different it can be. You know, obviously this we've seen things like this before with Elseworlds or comparatively with Marvel with their Ultimate Universe, but where a lot of the fun comes in is where we're not repeating the same character beat for beat. So taking the most notable things about the Dark Knight, not personality wise, but like the little character buildups and just taking those away. How do we get to a familiar Batman without all those normal stepping stones, without the money, without the resources, without the car? You know, how do we get to that same Batman? I think that's going to be really interesting. And the same thing we're hearing with Superman. We're going to be getting a Superman that they're not going to be leaning into the whole family aspect of it and everything. What did they say about it? No fortress, no family, no home. So that's super interesting because that's really like the crux of what Superman is, especially now with like the super family and everything. It's all about like the whole home dynamic and being a father and a leader to all these people. And his lineage is everything to that character, whether it's the connection to Krypton or the same exact connection he has to Kansas and how they parallel and how that really informs everything that the character is. So it's going to be really interesting seeing how we get to the beacon of hope without that built-in moral compass. Like, where is he going to find that moral compass now?
Right. Absolutely. And Wonder Woman, the art that I saw, she has the biggest sword I have ever seen.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so there's that. She has a huge tattoo on her shoulder.
It goes all the
Um,
way down the sleeve,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So they're definitely, doing things like they said. They're kind of trying to set it in modern day, and um, kind of taking away some of the things from the original. Like I said, there are a lot. If you notice, a lot of people's series are ending, or a lot of people's story arcs are ending with September, so that they can start this up again. And as well as with All In, they're getting a lot of new creative teams on different books as well, that will hopefully spark some interest. And again, they said over and over again, it is not a reboot. It is not a retcon.
Yeah, and
Everything
for
you.
context, I did do a video a good while back called
Mhm,
Debunking DC Reboots. With that
mhm,
common trope that fans would use is DC's rebooting again, when they're not rebooting at all. They like both of these, like all these companies have like marketing tricks to try to get people to jump on board. With Marvel, they'll do an issue number one in the middle of a series, and like no need to change number, but it just kind of attracts attention. With DC, they do these initiatives, whether it be like Infinite Frontier or recently Dawn of DC. Now they're doing All In. Like nothing is starting over. There's no
mhm.
like, oh, I guess this is where it ends. It all continues. It just is a creative point where like the overarching story, like the I guess it would be like comparable to like the Infinity Saga. You know, when the Thanos saga started was with Iron Man 1. This is where the overarching saga that'll affect the greater DCU will all be kicking off with the all in number one kind of stuff.
Right. And so on some of the books, like I said, we have Rom V is leaving at Detective 1089. We have Tom Taylor is leaving Nightwing, and Titans. We have
Thank God.
what's that? Thank God.
I just read Titans today. Thank
Yeah,
God. Well, as we go real quick, Tom Taylor's leaving Nightwing and Titans. He announced already that he's going to be stepping into Detective Comics. And do
correct.
you remember who the
Mi-
artist is with?
Mikhail Janine or Janin.
Oh, Mikhail Janin. Yeah,
Yeah,
that should be fire then. Mikhail
mhm,
Janin's fantastic.
right. Taking over Nightwing as well is going to be Dan Waters and Dexter Soy.
Now that's one
Uh,
that one's. How do you feel about that one? Because you're a Nightwing reader, right?
yeah,
So
I
that
loved what Dan Waters has done too. So.
That seems
Um,
like a oil and water dynamic though for that character. Kind of like what we were talking about Flash when Cy Spurrier was announced. Just on the face, with looking at Cy's like notable body of work, it didn't seem like he was a good fit for Flash, and lo and behold, he wasn't.
right.
And with Dan Waters, he's more of a horror writer, isn't he?
Yeah, kind of. He did the old the Arkham Asylum miniseries, and then he did some of the backups in Detective Comics, like the Two-Face ones. He did those as
Mhm.
well. Um,
He's a
uh,
fantastic writer, though. He's doing
yeah,
Deathstroke for the Energon universe, and I loved both of those issues we've gotten so far. They were great.
right. So Tom Taylor. Someone asked when Tom Taylor's leaving. 118 is the last issue of Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo, and actually. We'll get to that later when we talk about when we look at our current comics. But in Titans, John Layman and Pete Woods are taking over Titans. Um, John Layman did some work he did Detective Comics for a little while, and then he just finished up the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League miniseries. He kind of fell out of favor for a little while, but he seems to be back now. So looking forward to that. Action Comics is going weekly. Um,
Yeah, is it going to be weekly still under the Superstars banner?
Doesn't look like it. No. And Mark Wade is going to write it, and Clayton Henry is going to do the main story, and then Marika Tamaki is going to do a backup story that's going to focus on Supergirl. Um, and then Philip Kennedy Johnson and Javier Fernandez are taking over Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And Philip Kennedy Johnson and Jeremy Adams are writing a Green Lantern Civil Corps special in October.
Is that
That
a
is
one shot?
supposedly it's a one shot that supposedly a Green Lantern Corps book will come out of. That maybe Philip K. Johnson may be writing because it doesn't look as though, at least in October anyway, although there is a Green Lantern book, the War Journal book is not solicited. So
So it'll
it
kind of
looks
just
as
be
though
moving into that most
exactly,
likely.
yeah, that's what I would predict anyway.
Yeah,
So
that War Journal book, like much like War World Saga with Philip Kennedy Johnson, it has just simmered to a boil. It is so good.
yeah. Um,
You got any news on what the Batman proper solicitation is looking like? Is Chip Zdarsky still on it?
Chip Zdarsky is still on it. Joshua Williamson is still on Superman, but he teased Doomsday is coming, as well as a Superwoman. He teased Doomsday at the end of the House of Brainiac, but it looks as though come October they may be getting back into that. So he's still going to be doing that, and with Dan Mora. So excited to have Dan Mora on Superman. So it'll be Josh Williamson and Dan Mora.
Now, with the Batman and Robin, is it solicited as a number one, or is it going to just be
Yep.
picking up the numbering
Just,
from Joshua Williamson
just going to keep
and
picking up
Samara
right from
Gray?
yeah. None of
I
these
haven't,
are
I
under
read like
number
the
one.
first couple of those and I dropped it. I didn't. It just not that it was bad or anything. With so many titles, I've really just been sticking to the ones that are really influencing the greater DCU story, the more interconnected stuff that ties everything and like spins the events kind of thing.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I love. I don't read his Hulk, but that's basically because I'm not a Hulk guy. But I love Philip K. Johnson and what he's done. Look at me, like I don't even know you anymore. Um, um, but I mean, one of the things I will say, and I'm sure he's done this on Hulk too, and I think you've kind of alluded to it, is he has the ability to kind of boil down a character to his essence, and that's one of his strong suits. Is he really his stories really show what the essence of a character is.
don't worry, Rich. We haven't
Yeah,
gotten into
we haven't
Acolyte
even
talk.
gotten there yet.
Yeah, we're starting with exciting stuff. We'll save the Acolyte for the very end. That way, if there's time, we have to rush through it. Just yeah, there's so much Acolyte content out there. We're definitely going to discuss it, but it doesn't. I don't feel like it requires much time to really go over it. There's a lot of exciting stuff to talk this week as well. I avoid PKJ now from Hulk. Really ruined it for me having him bounce on and off the book. PKJ hasn't bounced on and off the book. PKJ is the writer of the Hulk and why it's fantastic. Nick Klein was
Yeah.
the artist that's been in and out of the book, but yeah, PKJ has nothing to do with hiring and scheduling the artists that are on his book.
Hmm.
But PKJ single-handedly saved Superman, and Superman was one of the biggest characters in the world that fell out of favor with everybody except the select few diehards out there. And PKJ, thanks to him, Superman's been outselling Batman.
Hmm.
Have a good night, Johnny. Appreciate you stopping by. For shizzle. What is going on? What is going on? But yeah, there's a lot to be excited for. And I think the big thing that excited me, and we've talked about it on whether it be this show or the DC Deep Dive that we do on Monday mornings on your channel, talked about how this timing was just perfect with when we saw the absolute comic universe being birthed and then the event happening. The fact that the event is called Absolute Comics, but getting them to confirm that the creation of the absolute world is going to be because of something that takes place in the event was fantastic. And they couldn't help but throw a spoiler out there and confirm that it is, in fact, Darkseid that'll be coming into play that'll have something to do with this. And that's even more exciting because Darkseid has just been sidelined so heavily since Infinite Crisis. We really haven't seen him since Pariah and toyed with him along with other entities, including Doomsday. But we got a lot of good stuff to look forward to. Still killed that book. Yeah. Oh, I got it. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing the new Twisters.
Yeah, me too. I didn't get a chance to see it, but
yeah. Hopefully I will. We got Deadpool and Wolverine coming out this week. We'll see. What has he wrote recently? Action Comics. He write not right now, baby. Mommy would like you to though.
Yeah, he writes Hulk, and then he writes Green Lantern War Journal.
And he has a brand new indie. And he has a brand new indie title out right now too. The one that had that kid sitting on the bench with the crocodile on the cover. Baby.
Right. Wow. So he's still doing some good stuff.
What's the deal with Darkseid? I don't know. What then again? Like it's. I mean, there's like the yin and yang of that. You know, he's a great villain. He's I mean, hands down, DC's greatest villain, the biggest threat that they've ever had. And we can even ties into Crisis Part 3 that came out recently. But it's good when you don't overuse a villain because unless he has his own title doing Darkseid stuff, like interacting with our heroes always requires like the heroes winning, and that over time diminishes your villains. But when you let them sit on the sideline for a while, it gives you a chance to really elevate them more when they come back. Justice League Odyssey that's been gone for years. Years. Now, what was that? That was Rebirth era?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I might cosplay first time, be it just yellow or red paint on the face for Deadpool movie. Yeah or nay? Do both.
You do you. Yeah.
Do both. I'm not sitting in a theater like that. What is going on, Brian LCS? Hey, I got home today to a giant stack of mail. Brian, your book was in there, man. It made it while I was gone. That's fantastic. Good stuff. I haven't opened it yet.
And we're coming down to the end of the nominating process for the CBC Awards. So,
so Brian hosts the Comic Book Community Awards, cbcawards.org. Go nominate your favorite comic book YouTube channels in a bunch of different categories and subscriber tiers. I appreciate everybody that nominates the channel Sector 2815.
Absolutely. Well, and I appreciate people that nominate this gentleman right over here.
We need a movie where Darkseid dominates. Yeah, the live action would be great. Dude, I loved his appearances in the Snyder Cut. Those were just amazing. That was just cooler than cool seeing Darkseid on the live action stuff. But I guess that segues. I did catch up on the end of the Tomorrowverse, for the Tomorrowverse being DC Comics Connected Animated Universe. It used to just be called DC Animated Universe, and then that ended with the Apocalypse War, and they started a brand new animated universe via a flashpoint. Flash had to run a flashpoint and reset things, and it all kicked off 10 movies ago, is it?
I believe so. Yeah. Yep.
And we never got the full Blu-ray.
Really?
Never got it. They got DC Uni. That's where we'll stop. We'll stop there. That lets you know they intended to do more than 10 movies when they're building their movie spines to make a big connecting picture. You don't even get halfway.
Wow.
Or it's on the kitchen table. But yeah, it ended. They ended it with Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. They took the epic comic from the 1980s, which was a 12-issue maxi series which is the story of taking the multiverse and shrinking it down and killing off entire worlds and people. And I don't want to say they adapted it, they use that story to write their own version for their universe, because it's not an adaptation. It's loosely adapted. But
Yeah, there are so many things that happen in there that don't happen in the comics.
and vice versa. But it was something. So the first one came out, and I'm like, yeah, that was okay. It was all right. And then I was able to watch part 2 and 3 as one long 3-hour experience. And I think that helped a lot, because part 2 is kind of like, it's the Empire Strikes Back installment of it, where there's just a bunch of losing, but all three of them get a little long in the tooth. But that finale I thought was fantastic. I thought it was great. Like, not necessarily like as a movie great, but as like to serve the purpose that it's supposed to serve, the same purpose that Crisis, the comic book, served. I think they did it in spades. I think they knocked it out of the park, calling back to the other movies, like acknowledging what it was like in a meta sense. They revealed that the pariah of the movies is really John Constantine in a sense. They kind of take the pariah character and assign characteristics to a couple people, Constantine being one, but it's revealed that the Constantine that's in Crisis is the Constantine from the previous existing universe, the original animated universe. And I'm like, that's it. I'm sold. I'm in. You're acknowledging it, that this where we're at right now is a mistake. We shouldn't be here. This shouldn't exist. And the biggest problem that created this is the fact that Darkseid was killed. They went back in time and terminated Darkseid as a child in order to stop the events from the Apocalypse War. And it was amazing when they showed that reveal, and it was awesome. That sold me, put me all the way over.
I have comic issues. Is Crisis available on Max yet? The first two, yeah, are available.
What do you think of the overall, or part 3 in general?
I haven't seen it yet.
What?
It's not my. I had a problem with my Groove order, and so it's arriving tomorrow. Actually,
Well, you should have stopped me sooner than that.
no, that's all right. No, this is a spoiler filled. So
I assumed you'd seen it last week because you're always like ahead on those.
Yeah, it was supposed to arrive last week, but there was a problem. Actually, there was a problem with the card that I used because I had to get a new card. So it delayed it by a couple of days.
No. That was a pain.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it didn't disappoint. There was a couple of standout moments going back to part 2, because I just watched that one too, was watching Psycho Pirate try to interrogate and torment this questionable character in a chair. You just see this emaciated dude in a chair, tied up, and a beard just spaced off, and he's talking to him and talking down to him as if he can't even hear him, because he's wanting something from him. Then finally he gets up like he's about to leave the room, and the guy just wakes up and goes, "Oh, it's you. I was light years away." And and within moments you find out that it's Kent Nelson in the chair, and Psycho Pirate messed up big time trying to intimidate or interrogate Dr. freaking Fate, because he just beast modes everything. It was just fantastic. I can't wait for you to see part 3 now, because I watched them with Finn like late at night, and Finn knows Dr. Fate from the Black Adam movie. He was introduced to him in that, and it's because we were sitting there trying to figure out if it was like another version of Psycho Pirate, because how he was bouncing around, like if he caught and interrogated like himself in some way. And as soon as we saw the helmet, Finn goes, "Ooh!" I'm like, "Buckle up, buddy." It was cool. It was really cool. But we can move on to some other stuff. Definitely, there were some other exciting trailers that dropped this week. We had 2 very notable trailers that I would say. First one being Dune Prophecy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very excited for that.
Brand new show coming to HBO Max. It's going to be taking place, I think, 1,000 years or so before the events of Paul Atreides' life. And we're going to be following the Bene Gesserit sisters, because you know how, like, in the Dune stuff, they're like the most influential group of people, more than any of the great houses and everything. They kind of structure and move everything into place for Paul to be born. And we're going to be going back and watching some of the power dynamic of the great houses and the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood, which I'm really excited for. HBO doesn't skimp on the budget, the production, or the quality, and to get a really cool Dune show, I think is going to be really really exciting.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? If it's half as good as the movies were, it'll be amazing.
Yeah. And I wonder if Frank Herbert's kid, who does so much of the literature stuff now, he's got to be tied to it some way, right?
I would think so. Yeah, he and Kevin Anderson, Kevin J. Anderson, are the two people that have been writing most of the Dune stuff after the passing away of Frank.
And there's so much literature outside of the original 6 books that's like considered canon for the Dune stuff that it shouldn't be hard just to tap into and just go ham for a TV show. And I like the idea of getting a television show too, more than a movie, because you're not as restricted for time.
Hmm.
Like it's just, dude, I love movies, absolutely love movies, but I don't think I'd love them as much if I didn't have TV shows also to really like get that drawn out feeling as well, to really just dive into stuff. Hey, there we go. There we go. Oh, dude, no worries at all.
Yeah,
Sorry, the show we were talking about sending out the wellness check. Dude, take care of your mom. That's what matters, my dude.
absolutely, absolutely.
Make sure she subscribes. And then Dune Prophecy, Las Crucias. Where are you on Dune Prophecy? And then the other one, in my opinion, has got to be like the most exciting movie release of the year. And it's coming fast. And that's Alien Romulus. We've already seen the popcorn buckets, but we got like a full-on trailer, which I felt we already had a full-on trailer. I don't feel like we necessarily needed this one with this much dialogue in it. That first trailer we got with less dialogue was great because we had no idea of the plot of this movie. And I love that about it. Now we got a little bit of the plot, enough to know that we have like a ragtag band of people going to pretty much strip a defunct spaceship called Romulus that's in the system.
Hmm. Yeah, and we got to see what to me is, in an Alien movie, we got to see the requisite, backlighting of a person with the thing, beating in the
Oh
chest of
yeah,
the
that
person.
little body scanner thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
looked
yeah,
wicked.
yeah, it did. There were a lot of, what looked like are going to be like quick edit, try to scare the shit out of you type moments, which is
Yeah,
what you gotta have.
and the music underlining of that trailer alone was great, from the dead quiet to like the alarming loudness of it and everything. And it looks like this Romulus ship was possibly put out into space to harvest, study, or whatever the aliens, because they have a ton of face huggers on this ship that get out. It's gonna be interesting to see if like a large portion of this movie is the primary danger is going to be surviving face huggers before we even get to an alien. Thought that would be pretty wild. AR, what is happening? I was really surprised to see Dune was going full cinematic universe with that weird world, but sure. Yeah, that is pretty funny because it went from being deemed as an impossibly adaptable property to having 2 mega movies to being over $1 billion franchise, and now getting a television show on the most prestigious format that exists. It's doing pretty good.
It
They
is doing
they
pretty
cracked
good.
the code. You think we'll get any
And that's
spice aliens?
yeah, it's gonna be on HBO and on Max, I assume. And there was actually some big news on Max this week as well, in that apparently they are laying off like 1,000 employees. Warner Brothers Discovery, and they're thinking about possibly splitting themselves in two again, with the streaming on one side and the movie studio. Sorry, the movie studio and streaming on one side, and then everything else on the other side. The TV
What would
networks
be
and everything else,
okay?
like TNT and CNN and all the other things, and Discovery on the other side.
Dude, streaming services have absolutely played the devil for these companies.
Mhm.
They've done nothing to help any of these companies whatsoever, whether it be Paramount, Disney, HBO, Warner Brothers. None of them. None of these companies are in better standing because of streaming. It's the polar opposite. They can't crack the code.
Right, exactly. They tried shoving a lot of content at people to see if they get subscribers. That didn't really work. Now they're trying to raise rates. That works to an extent, but not to the extent that they needed to work. So Yeah, it's kind of
Didn't HBO just have another price increase
yeah,
or announce another price increase? It's going to like 17.
yep, and that's why you're seeing these bundle things coming together now to see if that helps them at all. So
And I don't see how those bundles actually help them. Like it helps get people there, but it doesn't help make more money though.
right, yeah, yep,
Because they're having to cut deals with these companies that are providing these bundles for them.
right, absolutely, yep,
Yeah, that's padding numbers for investors more than it is as hard dollars at the end of the day.
hmm
But they got my dollars. HBO gets my. I've said it before. If I had to give up every streaming service, HBO would be the last one to go for me. 10 out of 10 times.
yeah,
I just
probably for
love
me
that.
too.
I
Yeah,
love. And then I think Paramount would be second to last. Like once I finally got on Paramount, I'm like, yo, I'm home. Like it's awesome. There's so much good stuff there. And HBO, I never get on HBO and don't find something to watch. If I'm just looking to browse and watch, whether it be like nostalgic stuff from like the 80s or 90s or just big popcorn blockbuster movies, just random documentaries about topics I didn't even know like that existed and stuff. And then of course the TV shows. They're unparalleled with TV shows.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they have a deep. Well, Paramount does too, which is probably why. But Warner Brothers and Paramount have such a deep catalog of movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched Dead Reckoning Part 2 again while I was on vacation. That movie is just chef's kiss. I can't wait to see the next one. We got a member milestone chat from none other than Burt Family 54 Comics, 33 months strong. What is going
Nice.
on, homie? Got to keep
Yeah, that would be tough for me.
everything else goes first. Yeah, that's understandable. Absolutely. And there's so much on there too. Like if you know, but then I think these streaming services have hit a wall where uh people aren't keeping all of them all the time. They're if you're like one of those people that like I'm going to dive into a show. How much time do people really have to invest into watching a show? Like there's only so much time in the day if you're working, especially if you have kids and you have stuff you have to do and everything. So let's just pretend you let's give it a lot. Let's say you have a guaranteed 2 hours a week. I mean 2 hours a day, like
Mhm.
14 hours a week that you can commit to watching a show. That's still like you don't need multiple streaming services. You might be focused on one thing. Like Kyle watches like just Paramount or just Hulu for weeks and weeks at a time. She'll find a show that has multiple seasons and she'll just want to watch that. Like I did with Game of Thrones. I just went and just I didn't watch anything else when I rewatched that. I watched 6 seasons of Game of Thrones and nothing else until I watched it all. Like I could have canceled every streaming platform I had, kept HBO, watched just that, and saved like $80 that month. And then the next month, decide what I want to watch and get that streaming service and do the same thing.
Yeah, and that's I think one of the things that has caused the is that people are only enrolling for a particular month. They'll wait until the Obi-Wan show is done. They'll join for a month, watch the entire series, and then they'll cancel it at the end of that month until a series that they really want to see comes along again, and they'll join for a month again. So it's not something they're not getting as much recurring revenue as they would like.
I can't believe it's so expensive for these people to house these streaming services.
Mm,
Like, why is it so hard? Like the formula seems so plain as day to me.
mm,
Like you treat your streaming service just like you used to treat your old cable channel. No different.
mm,
You create a product, you release it in theaters, you give it its full theatrical run, you let it sit and make people miss it or want to see it or want to see it again. You release it on physical media, you let people watch it on physical media, and then after a physical media run, you put it on your streaming service as a back catalog
mm.
as if it was just coming on television, like you don't quit giving people your stuff for free. Then your company would be doing better. It seems obvious to me.
Right.
I don't know. Like, pirated movies existed for decades now. It isn't like a lot of people don't want to watch stuff like that. They'd rather watch it comfortably. And to that point, one of the biggest pirate sites that exist went down this week. Pirate sites have good runs and everything, but eventually they get taken down most of the time. One of the biggest pirate sites out there, one that even had like a paid tier or something to it that people could spend money on this site got taken down.
Were they a result of that CrowdStrike thing that happened on Friday?
I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how I know that they got taken down, but they got taken down.
Okay. This sounds
Well,
more like they were caught doing what they were doing and they got taken down.
Yeah, so like there's a God, I think it was 123 Movies, which was one I used like back in like the 2000 teens, like the early 2000 teens. And it was cool. That was when I first learned of those sites. Ironically, I worked at a video store at the time. But I'm one of those people that I would see a movie in theater, want to see it again, and then I'd still buy it when it comes out, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But and it went down, and then so I'm familiar with these sites not lasting forever. But I saw there's like YouTube videos that have been made talking about it coming down, and actual like articles that have gone up talking about it. So it was a very big site. Most of the time, they just as long as you're like not a US based site, there's really no ramifications for what you're doing.
Right.
Just odd. 12-month member milestone chat. It's not just streaming service for TV raising rates, it's also gaming services as well. Microsoft just announced that in September prices increase again. Get a Nintendo 64, solve that problem instantly.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the advertising revenue isn't there. They have properly crap themselves in the foot.
Or shot themselves in the foot.
Well, when she gets back. So I guess that is a thing with cable TV, which they still have these channels, and I know like the advertising stuff probably doesn't cost as much or make as much as it used to. But I don't see advertisements on anything I use. HBO doesn't have them. I don't see them on Disney. I don't see them on Hulu. I don't see them on Paramount.
But you pay more for that.
Yeah, I mean that's the point of getting stuff, right?
Yeah, but they have lower tiers that you can buy that do have them.
Yeah, but even like going back to cable days, like the HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, Stars, I didn't see ads on those when I watched stuff.
No, but that's because you paid a much higher price though just to have that channel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's the same model though, right? That's what I'm saying. Why can't they crack the streaming code thing here?
I think that if they use the old model where they did, theaters streaming, streaming, but not their streamer, so streaming physical media and then on their streaming site, that to me sounds like that would be better than any other option, because what they do now is they just go from theaters right to their streaming site.
Let's see. It's servers and server space that drives the cost up. I didn't even think about that. Why wouldn't they get their own? I wonder if they have their own. Oh, the Bay was taken down as well. I guess they're coming for a lot of them. That's a good thing in my book. Like it can't be, if they can get one taken down, they can get them all taken down. And for Hollywood, I don't know how Hollywood doesn't have like an active team of lawyers that works day and night to take them down or to get them taken down. 26-month member milestone chat from Circumstances going to see Deadpool Thursday night. Support your local theaters. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Also, Flow, be sure to go back in the stream because you probably missed a thing or two and we covered it all earlier in the stream. But if y'all want to recap, Flo started his own YouTube channel. He's 50% of the Bada Boom podcast. And he said he's trying to get better on camera. His home videos weren't selling and his wife's mad at him about it. So this is him getting better on camera. Check him out.
There you go.
Shot, not the other words. Sorry. I haven't been in theater since 2005. Oh, wow. Man, I couldn't even fathom that. Let's see, I think it's harder to advertise now with how splintered audiences are. Yeah. And I never really seen any like kind of like hardcore data, like how much advertising dollars are like factored into something's success. Because I remember back when Avatar 1 was coming to television and all the networks had a bidding war for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know the way it used to work back in the day when a movie was coming to TV, you had like TNT, TBS, USA, FX. You had all these different networks bidding for the right to show that movie on their channel, and FX paid some ungodly number to get the rights for Avatar because FX has the movies, and they really do,
Right.
and all that money that they paid for Avatar, the only way they're getting that back is from the commercials that play. There's people paying for commercials during those slots.
Mm-hmm.
But man, so
Yeah.
Avatar made like millions and millions of dollars after it had already made billions just from FX being given permission to show it.
Right. Which, and it's kind of interesting too, is because Avatar was a Fox movie. FX is a Fox channel, so did you would think it would have an advantage over it, but you actually can't do that when you're bidding on movies like that because you have to do a fair bidding process. So, but even
You
before
can't
that,
just take
before you
money out of your right pocket
and put it in your
and
left
put it in your
pocket,
left pocket.
right? Exactly. Um, even before that, though, before there was TBS and TNT and all of those, the NBC and ABC and CBS, they used to have. I can remember distinctly. It was the NBC Sunday Night Movie of the Week, and they
Mhm.
used to bid on those movies as well, to show them. And I remember when The Empire Strikes Back came on TV, they did this whole NBC did this whole thing. It had a special introduction by Darth Vader that was never ever seen again by anybody. I remember it distinctly. So.
And I can't. I think it was ABC had the movie of the week thing that they used to do too. I could be getting confused with NBC, but Terminator 2, when it first aired on TV, it was on ABC or NBC. And I remember how they have the little graphic, like right before it came back from commercial or when it was about to start the movie. It almost
Mhm.
was like the 20th Century Fox graphic that goes up, but it was their version of it. And I remember that as well.
Right.
But then these network channels started getting really themed, like
Yeah.
FX. Like they really came in.
Yeah.
Boom. Most of them have their own servers, but those still have to be built, and there are operating costs. And I can tell you, server part prices would make your jaw drop. That sounds like another racket. Then
Mhm.
these are just mechanics. There's all kinds of parts in these too.
Oh yeah.
As many servers are out there that the prices are high. It's just the prices of stuff in general are just wild to me. Crazy thing about streaming service is there is still so much room for growth. One thing to point out is it's just so much easier to make a movie.
You could
Don't
make
tell that to the budget.
you could make the movie on just that thing that you were just holding.
Yep. And we're got Ashton Kutcher
Mhm.
was talking about stuff like that. Soon you can have Chat GPT write your script. You can just prompt it, and then you'll be able to take that script prompt and put it into AI. Because you know how AI is already doing not just still images, but motion soon, and we're not far from it. And I'm sure there's AI tech that it's not accessible to just us yet, but you just hand that script over to that AI, and it just makes it
Mhm.
100% artificial movie made.
Absolutely.
And it's over with. Nowadays, people stand up, clap at these superhero movies. It's cray fun. Yeah, when they're good. I base it on the crazy money WWE have got now, and advertising is strong enough that they warrant mad bucks. If you're not getting those adverts, you're losing. Yeah, I guess that has to come down ultimately to just quality. Like, I guess, are you making stuff that people want? What is it? House of the Dragons is doing it. Like they're driving that fan, that those viewers, people wanting to watch, people showing up to watch, and just I don't know. I don't know. What is going on, Chaos and Comics? All right, what else we got? Putting down the streaming rabbit hole. That's a voidless pit. It's time to watch House of the Dragons right meow. Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm about to be watching it. A lot of books came out this week. House of the Dragons. Again, recapping from last week. That was a fantastic episode following the big dragon battle and the death of a major character and the questionable death of another one, the king himself, which we saw that survived. We got to see the fallout and the repercussions of Aemon's actions when he pulled up to the Rook and just went ham on everybody with Vagar. But the realm is in turmoil. Poor Alicent, dude, had this fantastic scene with now that the king has fallen and he's barely alive, fighting for his life, melted to his armor. We saw the whole scene with the Maesters were peeling him out of the armor and setting his knee. And obviously the small council had to meet to figure out who was going to be the king regent while he's out of commission. And this was a fantastic scene of watching Alicent just so cavalierly just try to talk her way into taking the position, as she's not because she wants it for power, but because she's suited for it, and everybody kind of just speaking against it. And you have this really great shot of the camera just focused on Alicent coming in slowly as like the sound kind of fuzzied out, and you kind of just enter her mind in that moment, how everything is just falling apart. And I got this really cool sense of like we've crossed the threshold at this point from where we started with it just being about Alicent and Rhaenyra and how it's going to go between them. Just this is how it surpassed anything that she thought she had control over. You know, all these decisions that she made, all these plans that were put in action, all the consequences of all those plans are now completely out of her hand, and she is now just a passenger on this crazy roller coaster. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that she basically started.
Yes, yeah, that she started, and she's now completely hands off. So Aemon, her other son, the one with the eye patch, has been made king regent, and he immediately has plans. And over in the House of Black, they're trying to figure out what their next move is. Like we got Daemon in a weird story arc right now, just hanging out at Harrenhal, just tripping billies, dragon chilling outside. Like he's wanting to rebuild Harrenhal. We've all seen Game of Thrones. It's not going to happen. That place is still a wreck. But I'm ready to get him back into the show. I do like kind of introducing the magic stuff into it. I like doing the vision things. We got some weird visions. Really weird.
Yeah, he had one in it wasn't in the last episode. I think it was the episode before, but he basically had his Jedi cave vision where he was actually in the armor.
Yeah, and then in this last one we got the Sith cave nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh man, it gets weird. But yeah, they're all just plotting and scheming. And now the big thing with this one is that House of Black needs more hands. They need more dragon riders. And we got this scene that I was laughing so hard. So Rhaenyra is just talking to her oldest son, who we the viewers and her know is a bastard. And we're talking about having to enlist the Targaryen bastards from the land to possibly come in and claim these unclaimed dragons and fight for the House of Black. And they having to keep up the facade. She's talking to him like, but dragons only respond to pure blood. She's talking to her son, who she knows is a bastard, who is a dragon rider. I'm like, oh my God. But anyways, we know that the second largest dragon out there is just lying in wait. House of Black has it, and no rider. So we've been introduced to one of the bastards of the Targaryens a couple episodes ago in a bar, and we got a lot more insight in that character. He's wanting to get out of the city, has a sickly child. The wife is scared for their lives with Aemon in charge, and they go to leave the city, and Aemon has ordered for no one to be allowed to leave, which is crazy, but that's what's happening. So I'm assuming his kid's going to die, and that will be the motivation for him to want to fight for House Black. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm actually right with you. I'm actually going back through. I don't say back. I never watched it the first time, but I'm watching Game of Thrones now for the first time, and I'm on episode 5 of season 2. So the Red Witch actually just gave birth to her smoke baby. So.
What episode are you on?
I'm on episode 5 of season 2. So the Red Witch just gave birth to the smoke baby.
Yeah, that was crazy, wasn't it?
Mm.
And it kills me the hand of the king. What is his name? God, that guy was awesome.
Mm.
But of all the people, you have to take him. You have to make him watch all the crazy stuff that's going on. He's so down to earth. You know, he was just a simple pirate before all this, and now I'm watching smoke monsters be born and all
Yeah.
this dark magic and Lord of Light stuff. I'm not for it. But yeah, House of Dragons has been fantastic. I'm excited for tonight's episode. I'm going to attempt to watch it tonight. We'll be out of here at a decent time. I'm a bastard of the House of Chaos. Nice. Only a couple more episodes and then 2-year wait. Thank you. Just finished The Boys. Holy, I skipped The Boys. I bowed out in season 3. I know a lot of people like it. More power to them. One of those ones I would watch just to talk and review it, but I don't. I have Amazon Prime on a television. I don't have it on my phone and stuff. What's up, Schulte? Well, yeah, that leads us to the hot topic of the night. The last time we have to talk about this, or have the privilege of talking about it, the Acolyte season finale.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
It brought up way too many questions. I mean, I know that they were hoping for a season 2, and that's why a lot of these things are there. But it's funny. One of the first things I thought as I was watching it was right near the beginning, where May actually escapes from the gurney that she's on, right? And she goes through the ship, and Saul is chasing her, and she hits the button to have the door close in front of her. The last thing she says to Saul is, "I'll see you in hell, Saul." And the first thing I thought of is, do the Jedi actually believe in heaven and hell?
Well, I think Han Solo didn't he?
Did he? I don't ever recall.
One had the originals, wasn't it?
I don't ever recall a single reference to hell in Star Wars. And I could be
I
wrong.
thought it was a callback. Thank you, baby.
Did you like the one I picked out for you?
You did. You did great. Yeah, that was an Empire Strikes Back.
Is it?
Yep, that was a Han Solo line. I thought it was a callback.
Really? I don't remember that.
Which was an oversight.
Anyway, there's all these things. Obviously, there is the ability to, change the crystal, blood red.
Bleeding the crystal.
Yeah, there's that. There was what people are saying is Dark Plagius was, or maybe Darth Creepy because he's kind of like stalking
Darth
Kinnear.
Creeper. Yeah.
Yeah. There's that. The Acolyte turns out to be OSHA, it seems like.
Called it.
Yeah. Hey, if we get a season 2, we get to see why Yoda didn't believe that there was a Sith and everything that happened too. So.
Yeah, it got a little weird. And as far as you said, how like there's more questions and they wanted a season 2. I think that the showrunners for this are literally the worst showrunners that have ever existed in television history. I say that with a kind heart. I'm saying that because I feel like they're blackmailing Disney into giving them a season 2 by attempting to get the fans to say, we need it just for the. They shoehorn Plagueis in there. They shoehorn Bleeding a Crystal in there. They shoehorn Yoda in there at the end. They shoehorn these things that should be. The first Bleeding of a Crystal on screen was done in such a throwaway scene, in such a show that doesn't speak to people, with characters that have no interest and they have no weight. So why would you burn that moment on this show, on these characters? Why would you introduce Plagueis in that way with these characters? Like, I mean, the Plagueis thing is a little more forgivable, but the Bleeding of the Crystal moment, that was crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to put that on there. Is it cool to see one? Sure. But it didn't make it any better or worse if you would have just like taken the 2-second scene out of it and just showed me that 2-second scene on YouTube with no context. It's the same thing. So I thought that was terrible what they did to take what should have been reserved moments for like cinematic events kind of thing. But that just goes to show, like, when I say like these showrunners do not care about these IPs, they only care about trying to service themselves. That's why I feel that way. Stuff like that. The whole flip flopping of good guy, bad guy, good guy, bad guy. No one in the show flip flop good guy or bad guy. The writers just had no consistency. All the way down to you had Soul trying to run May over, like chasing her down because he wants to talk to her in one scene, then trying to run her over with his ship in the next scene. You have the little tracker trying to stop May and alert Soul in one scene, then dismantling the ship to stop him from running her over in the next. Like none of it made any sense. It was god awful.
Yeah, and you basically have when you talk about, people that use hammers to deliver their message. You have basically that senator who was Martian Manhunter from Supergirl.
Yeah.
You have him basically deliver. Yeah, yeah, basically have him deliver a couple minute, dialogue that basically is like, okay, yeah, you know what, you're Jedi and you suck.
Yeah, that was all only purpose he served. And then the green Sith lady, I mean Jedi lady, who's a Sith, but's called a Jedi, just blames the whole murder thing on Saul. I guess everyone just believes what she says, and Yoda doesn't detect anything anymore. He can sense the ripples in the Force when people are getting killed across the way, but he can't sense the fact that the entire Jedi Council that we were introduced to were all Sith. Just all Sith. Every one of them is a freaking Sith. He can't. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Show's terrible. Give us a season 2. Go for it. I don't care. I'm looking at the next thing we get coming. Skeleton Crew. It's the next property that was announced a while back. We got our first poster for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be following like some younglings, as they're called in Star Wars. Front and center on the poster was a baby elephant in suspenders, which was kind of gave me a little chuckle. But the poster vibes are pretty cool. It's going to be taking place after Return of the Jedi, a few years after the Battle of Yavin. I don't know what it's going to be about beyond that. There's a droid on the poster. The design looked really cool. So I'm going to stay hopeful. I'm going to expect a turd and hope I get something better.
And Star Wars comics, it was announced that both Darth Vader and, at least the Star Wars proper comic will be ending with number 50, which is coming up. And you and I were talking about this the other day, is they've kind of done iterations. Like the first time Star Wars, for Marvel, the first time Star Wars came out, it was between episode 4 and 5. Then now it's 5 and 6. They're going to actually now start it again, and it's going to be after Return of the Jedi, basically.
Interested to see what Darth Vader is doing after that.
Yeah, exactly. That will be interesting.
Yeah, maybe he'll just have Force Ghost bleeding crystal somewhere.
There you go.
Man, that was so. Show was terrible. How did Plagueis even know that they were like Force babies? No one knew that these were Force babies at all. Like no one knew other than the parents that were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jedi that all died. Like it doesn't even make like someone. I saw someone saying like, "Oh, Plagueis was keeping tabs on the Force babies." Like, how does he know? Unless that was like his coven of witches. How does he know?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. I'm not accepting Coke tonight. AR. Not accepting it. What else we got on the hit list? We got a stack of books over here.
Yeah.
Want to run down some? I did read.
Sure.
So I read Scarlet from last week. This was pretty solid. She has infiltrated the Ninja Clan, who I can't pronounce her name, where Jinx is there, and she's been sent out on a mission to go recover one of their weapons for them that they were wanting, and that's where it all ends up. But it's fun. It's not been my favorite Energon book, but that's again kind of like Ghost Machines. Like they're all good where you want to rank them in the good realm. But speaking of not good, was that this week or last week? Titans 13.
It was this week.
You got yours too. So Titans number 13. We got a Samney cover. It looks like. Is that Samney?
It is Samney. Yep.
It is Samney. Yeah, pretty cool art. I like his art. Definitely like his art. So this issue was a weird issue. New artist on this one, I think. It's kind of anime-ish looking. But in this issue, the big story is Raven still has this dark Darkwing Queen storyline going on where the evil Raven is in control and the good Raven is trapped in the crystal. And the forces of hell that are associated with Raven are trying to plot and figure out how to stop her because even they are afraid of her fulfilling her plan and tearing down hell itself. And at the end of it, they've kind of enlisted Hera herself, Hera, the goddess of the gods, one of the members of the Quintessent, go down to hell to actually talk with them about the events going on with Raven and figure out what we can do. And by the end of it, they're like, all right, we're gonna go address this. She goes, well, you're not going alone. I brought y'all some help. And then you're going with the Wrath of God. And the Spectre popped out. I'm like, there you go again, Titans. There you go again, making me have to pick up the next issue. And, as soon as that happened, I'm like, I'm gonna win.
And John Jang will be doing a variant cover in October, so he'll be picking it up.
Yeah. So again, I'm dropping Titans. And when I say I'm dropping Titans, I mean later. I'll be dropping it later.
At some point in the undetermined future.
Yeah, which is never, but it's still fun to say. What do you think of this issue?
I still like it. I really enjoy Tom Taylor, and it also he goes back to a character that he brought up that has to do with being able to turn into animals in a different way that Garth does. But there's big green on green in this issue.
Yeah, a lot of green on green action. What was Ava's name? Something Ava. She has to kill an animal to be able to
Apex Ava
power. And she wanted to kill Garth so that she can adapt into anything because he has the cheat code to be able to do it all
without having to kill someone.
Yeah. So when I rag this book, it's not terrible. I just don't know. It doesn't have that X factor for me. I don't know. All right, but the one Boom. Let's see that wraparound. We have issue number 4. Jeff Johns, Brian Hitch, Brad Anderson, Rob Lee's Red Coat. What a cover. What a cover. And Paul gave me fair warning about this issue. So a little backstory here. Last month's issues of Red Coat and Rook released on the same week. Red Coat was pushed back a week onto Rook's week. This month they're back on their respected weeks, and it looks like Paul figured out how they did it.
Yeah, there's basically 2 full pages of just black with dialogue.
The torch goes out.
Right, exactly.
So how do you get your artist caught up?
Yeah, you just make black boxes and put dialogue in it.
Yeah, don't
and it saves them 2 pages of having to draw something.
This was a massive issue. So I picked up obviously the wraparound, but also I got the B cover for that as well. Who did this? This is the Gary Frank cover.
Yep.
You see him with his unfortunate relationships there. But yeah, take us through it. What'd you think?
It was good. It was, we see the backstory of exactly how when Einstein got to America, what happened with that. We see where we ended up last issue, which was with Simon Pure on the table, surrounded by the hooded men of the founding fathers. We see that again as well. And there's the book that they have, and we see the Grand Architect. We see him hooded, and then Simon Pure manages to escape. They end up down in the caves. That's where the candle that they have goes out. Then we see 2 pages of just dialogue. They meet back up with Benedict Arnold, who basically says that he needs the he needs the book that they have, and we come to find out that Benedict Arnold knows who the Grand Architect is, and it happens to be none other than George Washington.
Yeah, which was fantastic because that means that this issue gave us our big character who's who profile page on George Washington that also includes some backstory and some little details that we didn't previously have about the character during the time of the Revolutionary War to now. So it's pretty cool that the founding fathers that really found this ancient magic that gives them their immortality. We find out that it comes from Native American magic that George Washington learned and tapped into and shared with the founding fathers, and eventually tried to shut down the founding fathers as its cult is, because it got out of hand. But then it's just kind of lived on in its sense after that. So we found out why they wanted to, this hooded group has been chasing him, because not only are they led by George Washington, but he's saying you have Benjamin Franklin's magic. It was never meant for you. You've squandered it. You've done nothing with it, and we're going to take it back. That's why they have the Acts of Lies, because it's so with the original owner. And it was cool seeing Benedict come in and help, because this kind of just adds to the dynamic between Simon and Benedict, how they obviously seem like they're supposed to be like rivals, but we haven't seen anything that shows that they're actual rivals out to see the other one hurt. They just dislike each other. It's like reluctant friends almost, which is an even cooler dynamic, which I'm enjoying. The art was fantastic. The pacing was fast. These books always seem too short to me. They are the proper amount of pages, but it's just such a fun read that I just go straight through it.
Yeah, definitely a good read. Everything that right now that Ghost Machine is doing is just, to me, is just outstanding.
And I like how George Washington is drawn like an absolute psychopath.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I'll just be screaming with the wild
Yeah.
eyes and stuff. Like, holy crap! Lightning always just happens to be striking behind him. Like, it looks wild. But yeah, if you read it and you didn't read the George Washington Who's Who page, I would highly suggest checking it out. A lot of information in that one. A lot. Next week, Rook Exodus number 4 comes out, and the War of the Wardens should be close to kicking off.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how they have these planned or structured, if they're going to be writing them in 6-issue story arcs to kind of cater to collection, trade paperback or hardback collection sales or whatever. But with an issue 4, that means you should be building up to a finale, to a story arc or something. They're all solicited as ongoing, but we'll still see how it goes.
Yeah,
And
Rook is taking September off though. Rook is not shipping in September.
Why?
Don't know. Just not listed there.
These are not good signs.
Yeah.
Not good signs.
And Geiger number 7 has a fill-in artist, but I can always. I mean, I'm not that worried about what's that.
You said a fill-in artist?
Paul Pelletier is doing the artist on it. Yeah.
Is that who did the cover for the one last week that we were talking about when I was asking you who did that?
It might have been. I'm not that concerned about fill-in artists because you can always do a narrative if you need to. Like James Robinson on Starman would do like a once a year he would do this where he would talk to David type thing, and it would always be a different artist than Tony Harris who would do it, or whoever the main artist was, and he could do it. And so he kind of had a narrative that he could do and have a guest artist, once a year. I don't know if that's what Jeff Johns is going to do or not, but yeah, in the solicitations for October, it shows that Paul Pelletier is doing the art for issue number 7.
Yeah, fill-in artists have been around since the dawn of time, unless you're Jack Kirby.
Yeah, I mean, way back, the editors used to always just have a fill-in story in their desk that had nothing to do with the main story, and if they ran into trouble, they would just throw out the fill-in story and print that one.
It's crazy how these companies don't care about deadlines anymore.
Yeah.
It's crazy in a world where you can just draw on a computer, instantly send your art wherever it needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to touch a scanner. Just Speaking of a book that's been riddled with fill-in artists, Incredible Hulk issue number 14 by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Nick Klein is on this issue. Fantastic issue. Hulk he's trying to save this little girl's soul. His little road companion suffered a terrible fate at the hands of the character called like Ice Charlotte or something back in Louisiana. Her soul is gone. She's pretty much turned into a totem. So he went to Strange Academy to ask and inquire about help, and he went down into these different hell dimensions and stuff. Got the answers he needed, and he had to go to Vegas to seek them out. And he made it there and just ran into more hellscape stuff. And I just realized, like, I read this digitally ahead of time, but the staples on this book are on the front of the book. Look at this. The staple is right there on the corner box.
Oh.
And the staple is right there in the yellow.
Wow.
Huh.
Didn't you have another book that was like that just not too long ago?
I don't think so. And the staple's not even all the way through the back either. Wow, the top staple only goes through the book to the centerfold. Interesting. Both the staples end on the centerfold.
Wow.
That's interesting. I'll swap that one out. I'll swap it out. But it was pretty cool. Hulk is dealing with all kinds of stuff and things. And he's having to try to he's like, because he's in hellscape, he's like very disconnected from himself, and it kind of touches on why the Hulk is so mad at Banner from the things like the whole starship thing and everything like that. And he's trying to convince the Hulk to get it together and try to save this girl, and that's what they're out to do. It's called Tan, Tapia. It's called Tan. I'm Tan. Thank you. But yeah, moving right along from the weird stapled book, Destro, issue number 2. Are you reading the Energon Destro?
I am not. No.
It's an arms race. Like, so
Yep.
this is really cool because we're kind of like, we're building up toward the G.I. Joe book where all of these characters are going to come together like butt cheeks and be under the same title. But we're pretty much getting origins or just pre-Cobra days, pre-G.I. Joe team days. And with this one, Destro is just the leader of Mars Industry, and you're watching the battle he has against the competitors of the weapons companies. And he's all big on tech and stuff like that, androids and vehicles and this, while the major competitor is big on manpower, the best of the best manpower, the most manpower, and they are waging a war on each other. And you can already tell that Destro is obviously going to win in the end because the guy that he's fighting, his manpower, they look like Cobra, just missing the emblem. Like this is going to be his army, and they're all going to be under Cobra Commander eventually. But it's really cool. Dan Waters is writing it. I'm really enjoying it. I feel like Izzy also had one like that with Weird Staples.
Yeah, there was someone that just had another issue just like that with the staple.
Yeah, that's okay. I read all these on my tablet on vacation, and then went and bought the books that I'd already read because that's how you're supposed to do it. What else you got? Whole Elseworld, it's here. You got yours open. Let's see some of that art real quick.
Well, it's all like very much black and white for the most part to start until we get to the very last page. Basically has to deal with Deathstroke is really kind of the star of this. He is someone who he's for hire just like he is in the main DC universe. And it really is about what he does and everything. And he decides that he's going to stop until the king hires him for one more, just one more,
The king being Vandal Savage.
Yes, exactly. Just do one more thing for me, and he agrees to. And he finds basically Adeline, or Adelaide, who is his former wife. And he finds, as he goes, when he finds her, he also finds his son, who happens to be the only thing in color in the entire issue. And so that happens to be Jericho, I'm assuming. So,
was it his son?
That's what I took it as.
Okay.
Because if you look at his eyes are green too, which is what they used to do with Jericho's eyes when he would contact someone and go into them. So that's the way I took it.
I thought it was Zelda, that little elf kid from that video game. Link. That's
exactly.
it.
But to me, the backup story, the art in the backup story, Riccardo Federici.
Oh my gosh.
Just incredible. And it's written by Tom Taylor. It has to do with basically it is set 25 years before the Battle of the Three Armies. Basically has to do with Jonathan and Martha Kent and everything that's going on there. And we get a huge reveal at the end that the battle may now actually go beneath the sea, and we come across with Emperor Manta.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're introducing the Atlanteans into the pre-war stuff, and we're introducing Deathstroke and Vandal Savage into the post-war stuff.
Right.
So I'm really interested in both aspects of it because you throw Atlantis in something and you got me there. I say it all the time, we don't get enough Aquaman type stuff, and it was really cool.
And I think, probably if you were like me, and 99% of the people, you probably expected it to be Arthur Curry when you flipped to the last page, and it ended up being Emperor Manta. So
yeah, it was a really cool turn. The art was fantastic. The battles were really cool, really violent. I like how they're playing with the medium as well, doing the black and white and introducing a character who's in full color. And they even have the dialogue, like his gray cloth and the black and the white of this turned. It was really cool how he couldn't even process the fact that this one character was in color. It was cool. What else you got? I don't have that. Go for it. Is that Dr. Manhattan sitting Indian style on the cover?
And his Dead Man.
Oh, even better.
We see we see exactly. We see what happened if you remember at the end of Night Terrors. Dead Man finally got his his spirit was finally allowed to go, right, and be free. Well, now Dick Grayson needs him, so he trucks up to Nanda Parbat because although Dead Man is still dead, he is now deader, for lack of a better term. His spirit is still there, so he can still talk to him. So he's there because he needs some help because the entire world thinks that he is Heart. I can't think of the character's name now.
Heartless?
Heartless. Yeah, sorry, Heartless. And the real Heartless comes on TV and says basically he's going to take over Bloodhaven. So everyone thinks that it's Dick Grayson that's there. So Dick Grayson goes off to try to try to get Dead Man's help with him. But we see at the end that Nightwing needs to actually fight against Heartless, and since Dick Grayson can't be Nightwing because everyone thinks he's Heartless, we see the switch here that Tom Taylor does is Bruce Wayne agrees to become Nightwing.
Oh, I see what they did there.
Because how many times has Dick Grayson stood in for Batman? So that's where the issue ends. So it was really a cool issue. So.
And how many more issues is that? What issue is that?
This is part 3 of 5 of Tom Taylor's and Bruno Redondo's final story arc.
Gotcha.
We got 2 more.
All good things must come to an end.
Yes. Yeah.
So
probably the one that you were holding up before was probably this one.
No, it was this one.
Oh, okay.
World's Finest, issue number 29, Mark Waid and Dan Mora. Wild issue. Also a finale to a story arc with this one. We've had the 5th dimensional war going on with Doom Might waging war on reality. And this was a wild issue. The only way to really describe it is that they've reached into every dimension and every dimensional imp and every trick you can imagine, and then 100 more that you never would have imagined to throw at this ultimate Doom Might villain, and they ultimately overcome him with the help of Batmite. A little heartfelt ending to it and everything, a little turn, and it was fun. It was fun. This, out of the World's Finest stuff, was my least favorite story arc because I just think Batmite or Mxyzptlk in small doses is the best way to have them, and not over the course of 5-6 months like we've had them. But the stories are all good. They're all really, really good. I think Mark Waid knows they're a little insufferable, and all the characters that ever interact with him also feel the same way about him as the reader does, which helps with some of the dialogue. But they did a lot of really creative stuff with this story, as well as with the art and everything that kept it interesting. A lot of callbacks that they were able to do in the last couple of issues as well to some older comics that were really fun. But it was solid. It was solid. I'm ready for the next chapter. They're not. Did you see anything, the solicitations that says anything's changing with this book? We're up to 29 issues now.
Mark Waid is still going to be writing it. They're actually going to be doing then at least anyway in October. It's going to have to do with the Justice League.
Let's go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're back, baby. Justice League is back.
But it's not going to be that because we've talked about this before. Is this whole run of him has kind of been nondescript as to exactly, where it fits in with any established history and things like that. He kind of is playing, fast and loose with canon and things like that. So he really is not. Everything's kind of like in a nondescript, and it's the same thing with the Justice League one that he's doing. So aggressively relaxing, saying, "I wish there was a scene where Bruce is putting on the suit and realizing he needs to." That would be actually kind of funny if he goes out as Bruce and someone comments that did something happen to your butt? As far as I know,
they all solicited his ongoings.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And in October is Wave 2 of Ghost Machine.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have. That was announced actually too. We have High Street issue 1, and we have the one shot of Devour.
Yep. As well as I think the Rockefellers are supposed to come out in that month also.
Mhm.
I believe they are. I'm fixing to fix it.
Mhm.
Green Lantern War Journal, issue number 11, Philip Kennedy Johnson. What'd you think?
I love me some Philip Kennedy Johnson. Um,
That cover is amazing too.
it is, and the page there with the
Yeah, I had to share that. I posted that panel on my social medias this week. So this whole story has been really interesting. It's one that's like if you wrote this out, you have been really, really rewarded in some big ways. We're dealing with the
for all of his stuff, not just
yeah,
this.
not just this. This goes back to War World.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're dealing with Orgum, one of the old gods, and they get into the lore of this god and the passing and the reasons why he passed and how his essence was so strong it created all these other things out of its essence, not even directly, just indirectly. And we're dealing with like the fallout from that. John's been thrown into this part of the universe in an unknown sector that he's not able to escape from due to the radiant dead that's there. And he's been, I don't want to say possessed, but it's like the Radiant Dead is completely convening with him, wanting to use him as a vessel to take the willpower of Olgrim and be in this vessel. And for the past 2 issues, we've seen how he's been poisoned with it, and he's talking with Olgrim's dead child. He's like talking through, and it looks like he's being taken over slowly and slowly. And in this issue, we get the turn. We get this beautiful turn where like you're getting the last little piece of the story and being told everything and how you're the vessel now and he's there and he's like illuminated with the radiant light and like the crown of Olgrim. Then he just switches it all off. He's like, all right, I'm good. And it's like, wait, what? He's like, I just needed to know how all of this worked from the inside. And then he just like goes full John Stewart builder and he just starts dismantling everything about the Radiant Dead. And it was just it was like one of those hell yes moments. It was super cool. And then like everyone there kind of sees that he's starting to like get like the fight back and everything. Right on about that time, Guy Gardner shows up with Lantern Shepherd, who's from
Mhm.
the alternate universe where all of this really started from and bled over. And the fight's about to go down in the next issue. The big final fight. I'm thinking.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it looks as though Guy may be playing a pretty important part in what's going to go on too. So that's kind of cool as well. So
Yeah.
love me
Oh,
some Green
and
Lantern.
the thing with his mom as well.
Yeah.
The Radiant came for his mom, who's like suffering from Alzheimer's, and John has like a piece of himself, a construct that stays with his mom in the image of his little sister who passed away. And we find out in this issue as like the construct is running from the Radiant with his mom fighting back, trying to keep her alive. You find out that his mother, in her moments of clarity, is fully aware that this isn't her daughter. She's fully aware that this is a construct. She's fully aware that John did this out of love and trying to keep her comfortable. And she doesn't tell John because she's doing it for John. She's like playing the part for John in those moments, and he's playing the part for her. So that was kind of cool in a sense, but at the same time, I think it's a little creepy. Like this little infatuation the lanterns have with resurrection. It's kind of that's kind of weird. I'm thinking it's going to be playing into stuff later possibly. You got like the black rings, you got the hand, and death is really weird with the lanterns. I'm not saying like I mean it's a thing, like death is part of their stories.
Yeah, and it seems as though too, but like we were talking about earlier, is with they're doing the Green Lantern Civil Corps, and the rumor is that the Green Lantern Corps thing will come out of it. That um, the two, the Green Lantern and the Green Lantern Corps, if that really does come out, it will probably more closely tie together. I would think.
Yeah, I was flipping through that this evening at the LCS. They're nice. They're really well put together. So for those that don't know, Image did was it Image 20,
Mhm.
Image 30? Was it 30 or 20? 30. Image
30.
30th anniversary. They did a 12 issue maxi series. It was an anthology of different creators across Image and everything. And the Mad Ghost installment was called The Blizzard. So you got 8 pages and 12 issues written by Jeff Johns, illustrated by Andrea Moody, a story called The Blizzard. And they've taken those parts of the anniversary anthology and pieced them together for the first time. And it releases this coming Wednesday in a collection, only $14.99 for an oversized, fantastic quality. And yeah, that'll be out. My copy, I was flipping in my copy earlier up at the shop. I can't wait to get it. I'm thinking about buying the second one to have for a giveaway. That's just a good story. And if y'all haven't read it, you'll be very excited with the with how it plays out. It might even encourage you to go back and get the original floppies. I love it when the good guys win. I'll take it back. That is creepy. And I got one more I want to mention. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, the penultimate issue here, number 5 of 6. I know this is a me thing when it comes to most people I talk to. I love movie properties. I don't know what it is. I like movie stuff. And this has been fantastic. This Gabriel Guzman has some of the best interior art I've seen in comic books all year long. Every time an issue comes out, I post something about it. It's really good. But we're following this character called Solek. After the battle of the first movie, he lost his entire clan. If y'all have seen the movie, you know that all the clans gathered together for that big fight at the end. His clan was one of the ones that were on the ground, which got decimated. And it's pretty much been him dealing with a form of shell shock through this and going from different tribe to different tribe to different tribe. That all the tribes have their own little shticks about them. Like we met the tribe in the first movie that were big into the forest and all that. Then we go to the second movie with the Water Clan. But they also show you at the end of the first movie how you have the horse riders from the plains, the Ikran riders on the cliffs by the sea. And so he's going to all these different tribes and he's learning different things that are really playing to creating a well-rounded individual again. And they're really well done. And in this issue, the Sky People have come back. This story has taken place over a long span of time. I still stay with these clans, some of them for years. Like this one that he was learning, having to get this shielding that they wear. It's only from a certain type of animal in the forest that it is impossible to sneak up on. It's almost like you'd have to wait on them kind of thing. But by the time this issue hits, the Sky People are back, which it's kind of like where the second movie kind of kicks off. But the title of the book ties it in with the video game that came out, Frontiers of Pandora. I don't know what ties it has to that. When this is finished coming out, I'm going to give it to my oldest daughter for her to read and explain it to me because I have her just tell me about the video game. But from my knowledge with the video game, it's pretty much just creating your own character, going on your own path. But by the end of this, he's actually got into a fight with some of the Sky People and got kidnapped by the RDA, which is the company that comes in the movies, the human people. So he's in the middle of breaking out in this issue. We'll see what happens, though. This is like the 4th or 5th little mini series that they've done for Avatar stuff, and they've all been really good. You got any more? Because I got 2 more up here that we'll just...
I am done.
You got 2 more then, okay. So also, they came out this week. Right. Superman issue number 16. Jamal Campbell is back on interiors, as well as Wonder Woman issue number 11. Joshua Williamson, Tom King, respectfully writing these. Absolute power tie-ins, absolute necessities, absolute not filler, absolutely not throwaways, servicing the story of the event so much so. If you are not buying Wonder Woman and Superman already and you are buying the event, I will suggest checking these out. If you remember issue 1 of Absolute Power, how so much happened, like these characters over here, these over here, we covered so much ground. These tie-ins are opening those events and showing you all the little details. If you're not investing into all of Absolute Power, that's fine. Paul and myself are. Paul and myself post a video every Monday morning on his channel at 10 a.m. where we go page by page through the Absolute Power event or any event currently happening at DC Comics. It's called the DC Deep Dive. It premieres at 10 a.m. every Monday morning. Sector's link is in the description. You just click the description, drop it down, just click where it says at Sector 2815, hit subscribe, and be sure to check that out. You can go back and watch and catch up on any of the tie-ins through any of the events, including the main body of the event from Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths forward. So keep up with Absolute Power with what you want to read, and then you can just watch that and get all the details you need to know exactly what's going on the rest of the way. After 10, you know what time it is, right?
Time for House of Dragon.
Time for House of the Dragons.
Hey, Ben.
Hope everyone has a fantastic week. I appreciate y'all spending your Sunday evening with us. Hope y'all had a good week. And I don't know what's going to happen this week, but whatever it does, we'll be covering it next Sunday. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, notification bell. Don't forget to hit that button.
By next Sunday, San Diego Comic-Con will be over, so there probably will be a lot to talk about.
That's what we'll be covering, obviously, is the man. Remember last year covering Comic-Con announcements. So maybe you'll be able to see Crisis by then. We'll see. No pressure. But yeah, I've got got some content coming out like usual. Got a bunch of shorts that I put up through vacation and everything, and also have a video from where Paul and myself did the comic crawl. You can check that out already on here. Until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we. What is it?
Legion.
That's it.